you guys? I'm here. I'm back. Your boy is here to talk about My Hero Academia, Two Heroes Rising. As you can see, I'm rocking the bakugo because I have to rep for my favorite hero of all time. Now, I'm letting you guys know now this is not spoiler free. There's nothing about this that's going to be spoiler free because this movie was so good, it's really hard to not spoil anything. So, I'm just gonna freestyle it and I'm gonna go for broke. So if I missed anything, my bad. And the things I didn't understand, it's whatever. I'm sure people who end up watching this will correct me in the comment section below. But I love this movie. Let's get straight to talking about it. The League of Villains are evolving, son. It's the same league that we're used to seeing, but they're becoming more efficient in the way they do things. For instance, twice of all the people, little freaking My Hero Academia Deadpool, all of those people that were in that car, it was just clones. They weren't even real. And that's the way you use that type of ability in that kind of situation. Like, we're not going to take the risk of getting caught, so we're going to have our clones of us still do all the things that we need to do and get done, but we're not going to take a whole bunch of risk in that ourselves. And that was smart. I like that. That was a good way to utilize his quirk.
Now, based off the way that Shigaraki looked, he had a red overcoat. Last time I saw him recently, when he took out Overhaul, he had the black overall. He had the black coat with the rat fur on the back and everything. So clearly, and I was worried about this coming in there. I didn't know if it was going to be canon or not, or if it was going to be a certain place in the series where they are leaving off at. But if I had to guess, it's a little bit ahead of where we are because there was a lot of things that happened where I'm like, okay, didn't know that could happen. Didn't know he could do that. Oh, he got that already? It was a lot of that going on for me. It wasn't too much of where it's like, oh, whoa, these are huge spoilers. It was just a lot of, oh, we didn't get there yet in the show. I don't read the manga on purpose because I like to follow the show, and it's kind of hard for me to read the manga and then watch it animated and like really give like a full realistic live reaction when I do these things. So for these reasons, I'm usually out on the manga, but I hear it's fire. So, I'll get there when, we watch it animated, I guess.
So for me, seeing Deku have like the little arm gauntlet thingy and actually shooting his little finger air bullets and stuff like that when we just got past that part in the show, he's just now learning how to do this. But now we've seen he's perfected it and put it attached to the rest of his stuff. So he's already got it apparently. Now I'm kind of not really looking forward. Well, I'm looking forward to that episode, seeing how it all comes together, I guess. But that's what I'm saying. It's not really that much of a spoiler, but it's just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we're already on that. And then what else was there? Tokiyami could fly, apparently with Dark Shadow. Didn't know that was a thing. There's somebody in there named Hawks that I saw at the end of the end credits in the show, but he's actually in there. He looks like he's some weird like agent type character or whatever. He didn't really do much aside from just have dialogue with certain in particulars, so there was that. The action in this movie was amazing. The color schemes and everything. That it was just the fluidity of the movements when people use certain abilities and all that. It was great. Like Class 1A really showed up and showed out in this movie, and like it keeps you more invested in other people that isn't just Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki, and that's great because they're like the big three of the class. But then you get to like other characters and you're like, yo, I didn't know he could get off like that. Like I was highly surprised. Like for me, out of everybody else in Class 1A, when it got down to like the nitty gritty of it all, I was hyped over so many characters, but none more was I more hyped and surprised than in Tailman. I don't remember his real name, but I just remember his hero name, Tailman, the nigga who does jujitsu with gigantic kangaroo tail. He was holding one of the strongest villains of the side villains that we had in there. Chimera, I think his name was. He was actually a really cool villain. I don't know much about their like backstory and stuff like that, even when they explain some of their backstory. But I was very invested in the wolf bird man with the dreads. Like he was solid. He was in solid little antagonist. Like you want to get something done, you want to make sure that you have the leader get something done in a certain amount of time and like hold them down. That was your guy to send, and he held it down. So anyway, Tailman went toe to toe with him for a while by himself while backup came and all that. And he held it down for a good minute with this guy. Like he was pulling out the moves, the jujitsu, the taekwondo, whatever karate moves he be using, whatever he studies. Like he was using his quirk to his like maximum potential, and he he didn't rock him. He didn't rock Chimera or anything like that, but he held it down. I was super surprised. I was like, oh my god, I'm you're not gonna be my favorite or anything like that, but I definitely paid attention to you now. I thought I complain all the time about how Tailman is dumb, but after seeing how he moved in that movie and how he handled business in that movie, like yo, Ojiro, I think his name is Ojiro. I gotta look that up now. I love the camaraderie. Well, it wasn't necessarily camaraderie, I guess. It was more like a means to an end. But I love the togetherness that they had, Bakugo and Deku, especially when it came up to the team attack stuff. Oh my gosh, when they came up with the villain the first time and the second time, oh my goodness, it was so fire. Up, boom. That was the other little spoilerly thing that they showed. Deku has another new move aside from the air bullet thing. St. Louis Smash. So we got Manchester and St. Louis Smash. It's gonna be kind of null and void when we get to it in the actual anime now, because when he finally uses it, it's not gonna be as much of a power. I feel like it's not gonna be as much of a powerful moment because I've already seen it in the show or in the movie. So it just kind of, I don't know. I just feel like it kind of loses its edge. Not like it's gonna be anything big. It was just a kick. It doesn't even look like it was one of those major type kicks. It just looked like it was like a little side kick. I mean, it's a kick. What more can you do with it, right? You drop kick people, you side kick people, you uppercut kick people, like freaking hurricane kick people. I haven't seen him do that yet, actually. That would be a nice little, maybe like a hurricane kick, and he could call it like Kansas City Smash or something like that. Like that would be kind of cool. So the main villain in this movie, the main antagonist, is a guy named Nine, and it's Nine because apparently he's compatible with One for All's like quirk-ish type ability where he can like hold other quirks for himself and everything. And he has 9 quirks. I don't feel like I saw 9 quirks. I feel like I saw less than that, but I mean, whatever, who's counting? And he was kind of OP in here. It was actually kind of annoying because I'm like, man, if you could just not have that stupid quirk that has the little shield thing, because he kept blocking everything. Like, somebody throw something powerful in his direction, Bakugo with his little cannon blast, or Midori with a St. Louis Smash, or whatever. Pops up that little glass shield thingy, and it sure did block the mess out of it. Little finger lasers and popping out a blue eyes white dragon out of his back and stuff like that. When you think somebody's got him, you blue eyes white dragon, it just summons him out from his back and just like slings him across the field and stuff like that. But man, Nine was annoying. He was a good villain as far as like keeping them on their toes with action as a villain, but his inconsistency as a villain was just kind of bothersome to me. That's one of the things I didn't like. There was no need. I don't understand his real motive. We got to his motive like at the end of the film when he was like super charged up and all that stuff. Like, you know, his do or die now. Like the whole point of the movie was for him to get a cell activation quirk that worked with his blood type, so he could heal his cells, because him having that many quirks in his body was literally destroying his body on a cellular level. So having that quirk would have stopped it. And then eventually at the end of it all, it's just like, well, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to kill you all and make my life or make my dream a reality. I'm like, but how are you going to do that if you dead? Because you still didn't get the quirk. Like, you're putting in more work to do this, to get to this little boy, than anything. It's certain areas of that didn't make sense to me, and that bothered me a little bit. Nine had some henchmen, and those are some pretty dope henchmen. Like I said, Chimera, he was the dopest one to me. I didn't understand his quirk, and there were some areas where my friend made me laugh super hard in theater because he called him a Pokemon, and I'm like, he's not wrong, because he got to a certain point to where he like buffed out and became like more like beastly or whatever, but then he like shot out this gigantic like laser beam out of his mouth. I'm like, he used hyper beam. Where does that fit into any of his quirks whatsoever? If he's a Chimera and all he has is like other attributes of animals and things like that, he's basically Sun Eater. Sun Eater's not out here shooting solar beams and thunderbolts, my nigga. Like, where did that come from? But enough about all that, you guys. Let's get to the nitty gritty. The whole point and plot in this movie, very basic. It's save people, beat the bad guys up. stuff we already know because it's hero related. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing new and spectacular to see here. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to see all these things, don't be surprised about the plot. The plot is very basic, and there's nothing incredibly important that's so different about this plot. Like there's no real plot twist to it or anything like that. It's very basic with a lot of things that don't make sense. But we just follow through with it anyway because it's my hero and it's a movie and it's dope. So why not? So basically, Nine has to get this cell. Like I said before, he has to get this cell revitalizing quirk type deal or whatever, and he goes to find the people who have it because one of his quirks that he stole was being able to see quirks visually or something like that. Like for some, he had like this like weird ultraviolet X-ray type deal where he could like see and understand people's quirks a little bit or whatever. And he found a person who had it, but he stole his quirk and it wasn't even compatible because it's the wrong blood type. So he looked at the last video chat that he had, and he went to go find the son. So now it turns to a story about all the heroes from Class 1A basically trying to stop the villain and protect the kids. There's two kids. It's a boy and a girl. Don't ask me about their names. I don't remember. I don't really care about them all that much. I thought they were cool for what their quirks were allowed or whatever. I was very curious about what his quirk was because it took a minute before we realized what his quirk does. Then when we finally figured it out, I'm like, okay, you can be useful in the future. You can be very useful in the future. Like cell regeneration, that's kind of raw. Now, for what he wanted to do, which is basically like beat up villains and stuff like that, that's a whole different subject. He's not going to really excel in that, short of him practicing and becoming like super efficient in hand-to-hand combat and becoming like an Eraserhead type character. But even then, Eraserhead can at least disable the quirk for the time being. He can't do that, so he's going to have to find a whole different way and method to that madness. But I think he could be a prominent hero in the future. But we're aside from that. Moving on. So it turns into this whole thing where they basically have to protect the kids because they come to this island that is not used to seeing any type of trouble, crime whatsoever at all, and stop these villains that came up out of nowhere. And that's pretty much the plot. They just spend like the second and a half to third act basically going toe to toe with these people, and it's taken the whole class to even try and attempt to take them down. And it was a lot. There was a lot of people in here that did some good that I didn't expect to really see do as much as they did. Like Ayamo, the twinkling French boy, he did so well with his laser, with his naval laser. Like I didn't think he was going to do as much as he did because he normally can't do it for that long. He can't shoot for that long because it messes up his stomach and stuff like that. But he did really well. Like he really did some plus ultra type stuff. Uraraka or Uravity, she went plus ultra too. I thought they were done for, and they came about the woodworks and was like, nope, we not done yet. Yeah, okay, now we're done. Like there was a lot of that going on in this film. The one disappointment as far as like characters go, clearly, I'm sure if you haven't watched other people review this by now, Todoroki. Todoroki was the biggest disappointment. He had a moment at the end in the third act, but the moment was so benign. It was just like, honestly, you could have just been on vacation with your daddy doing something at this point. Like, you didn't do anything major enough for it to have made a difference. I mean, it made a difference because he's the one who helped take down Chimera and everything. But honestly, man, like, Todoroki was kind of bland in this. He was like, he was bland. He was bland chicken in this. He was unseasoned chicken in this movie, and it was super disappointing. For him to be like a part of like the big three of the class, like the super hybrid who takes people out in an instant with his ice and his fire and all that stuff or whatever, and then that happened. It was just kind of like, yo, no, leave it to my boy. Leave it to my boy to do this. Just let him handle it. You sit down somewhere. Deku had to pass on One for All to Bakugo to help him save the kids because they were like literally the last line of defense because everybody else was down. Everybody else was down and out. There's only 3 of them villains left, and it took all of Class 1A to take all of them down. And you think that, you know, there's so many of them, but I mean, he was a real deal villain. It was hard for them to do that, and they planned accordingly. Like they had prep time, and they still all went down. Like that's major right there. But it took two people with one for all to take this guy nine down, and it worked in the end. Seeing Bakugo with one for all was a sick moment. It was a lot going on once he had it though. It was like so much movement and motion and stuff like that, and that's the area that I kind of like. Like low key, even though that was a flashy part of the movie, I kind of hated it. I really did. Reason being is because it just it kind of like took a dump on all the things that we have learned about One for All thus far. Like, why was Deku able to go 100% through his entire body? Why was Bakugo able to go 100% throughout his entire body? I'm sure. Actually, you know what? I'm fine with Bakugo going 100% throughout his entire body because he actually has better control over his quirk and understanding of quirks and things like that than Deku does. Deku's still learning these things because he's not used to having one. Bakugo's had one all his life. So applying one for all to his own explosion quirk should have been massive. But as cool as it was or whatever, they still end up like breaking their limbs, breaking their arms and all that stuff or whatever. And even more than that, Deku used 100% on 9, and I'm just thinking the entire time, like, aren't you supposed to not do that? It was a dope moment because it's like, oh snap, he uses it 100%, y'all. I thought if you kept doing that, if you did it again, you're gonna mangle your arms up and you're not gonna be able to use them at all. Like nothing's gonna save you. You're just gonna have dead weight on your arms. They're just gonna be hanging there like forever. Why are you doing this again? And these are just unanswered questions, I guess. In either case, at the end of it all, they beat the bad guy. The day is won. Everybody's good to go again, and it's the end of the movie. But at the end of the movie, Shigaraki comes out and basically kills Nine, or at least what's left of him anyway. He's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna be the leader of this new world. This is gonna be me." Touch, and he. I was saying it in theater before he even did it. I was like, "Touch him, make him disappear, make him rot to death." And then he did it, and I was just like, "Oh, I was kidding. I didn't mean it." But Shigaraki, man, I think he's gonna be that one, man. He's developing a little bit more into this like real life evil villain character, and it's scary. Watching him get as far as he's getting, it's scary, man. He's gonna be a problem. That quirk alone is dangerous. He's not the same Shigaraki that we met when he invaded the school during that school attack. He's completely different now. This is crazy. And that was just a little snippet. So wherever they're at in the manga and stuff like that, where there's like this development that I completely missed, by the way, it's gonna be crazy seeing him in the future. Like I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking real forward to this. But all that aside, you guys, that's all I gotta say about this movie for now. There's so much more things I can say about this movie actually, but I'm choosing not to. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, even though I'm sure I did not succeed. But hopefully, you guys sat here and listened to me rant about this and enjoyed it. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more updates as I update because I will keep updating. Let me know what you thought about the movie in the comment section below. And if you haven't seen this movie, please, for the love of God, go see this movie. There's no real reason why you should not go see this movie. This movie was so good. It was ridiculous on how good this movie was. Like, I cannot wait to own it. This movie was so good, I actually think I want to go back and watch this movie in dub. That says a lot, because I hate dub with a passion. Dub sucks, especially My Hero dub. My Hero dub sucks. But I caught a clip of it earlier today on YouTube, and I was just like, I gotta see it again. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, you guys, I'll be here telling it like it is.